Alrighty boys, welcome back once again to another video. How you guys doing? Guys, today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. In today's video, we're going to be going over my top 5 good and bad things about Fortnite Save the World. Now, this topic was already done by another Save the World YouTuber known as ToryX. The link will be in the description. This guy made a video talking about his top 5 likes and dislikes about the game, and I thought it was a really good idea, so I wanted to give my own take on it. First link in the description. ToryX already did this video, but I really wanted to do one myself. Seemed like a really good idea, so I'm gonna kind of like steal it, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so in today's video, of course, we're going to be talking about the top 5 good and bad things. I'm going to separate it into 2 different lists about my top 5 favorite things and my top 5 most hated things that I dislike and really wish would get changed and all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into this video, starting off with the good list and then segue on over to the bad list, and then of course you guys can leave yours in the comments down below, but let's go ahead and jump into it. So we're going to go ahead and start off on the good list, and the number one thing that I really like about this game and I think is very good is just the general gameplay elements that are involved in this game. You know, whenever I first got into Save the World, and you know, I've been playing Save the World, keep in mind, since the first week that it came out. Like, I was signed up for the newsletter even before the game even released. I was very hyped for this game, and the reason for that is because I'm a very big zombie fan. You know, games like Dead Rising have always really gravitated towards me, Left 4 Dead as well, but not so much, and then also games like Minecraft that really encourage that creativity aspect of gaming. Fortnite Save the World kind of splices the two and makes it into a really good PvE looter shooter experience. You know, you got zombies, you got building, and then you got tons of tower defense and strategizing elements that are added to this game that really give it that amount of potential that it's just had since day one. The fact that you can really strategize your builds and completely optimize in the way that you build your hero loadouts, your gadgets, your team's like entire squad all together, and just the way that you combine traps with your guns and everything like that, it's just makes for really good gameplay in my opinion. And Save the World has some of the most potential out of any game that I've played in a very long time. I just love the way how the general gameplay works in this game whenever it comes to building those unique creations and then combining traps on top of that, combining your hero loadouts and then your teammates' hero loadouts mixed with your gadgets and your abilities and your gunplay and everything like that. The general gameplay for Save the World is absolutely fantastic and has tons of potential later down the line. It is by far the number one good thing about this game, in the sense that you're not going to find another experience elsewhere. Save the World is pretty unique in the way that it works. I absolutely love the way that the gameplay works in this game, and it's definitely my number one good thing, I have to say. Going on into number 2 on the good list, I have weapon variety. Now, I know if you guys were to look at Fortnite Battle Royale and just look at some of the skins that they get, you can definitely tell that the art team puts a lot of time and effort into the way that they make these skin sets look. But all you have to do is take about 5 seconds looking at Save the World, and you can see so much love being put into the weapon variety of this game. So much unique design that has been put in, so much careful thought that goes behind the design of these weapons. These weapons look and function differently from every single one of each other. Almost every single weapon in this game is 100% unique in either the way that it looks or the way that it plays, and I absolutely love that and definitely commend the art team and the people that are behind the development for the way that they are able to implement this kind of stuff. There are just so many unique looking and so many different functioning weapons in this game that is absolutely insane. Battle Royale might have really good looking cosmetic skins, but in Save the World we have weapons that have functionality and look absolutely fantastic, and I definitely got to give it to the art team. A lot of the weapons in this game look far more unique than anything I've seen in any other games, and I would put it on par with a game like Destiny in terms of the weapon design. It just looks absolutely fantastic. Now, here at number 3 on my list for the good things, we have the store system. I absolutely love the way that the store is handled in Save the World, and it took a while for them to get to this point, but I think the way that they got it right now is absolutely fantastic. You do have loot boxes in this game, which come in the form of llamas, but it's a lot more different than any other game that I've seen in the past. See, these quote-unquote loot boxes don't really have much of a random element to them. It actually shows you every single thing that you're going to be getting whenever you purchase it, which is fantastic. I absolutely cannot stand microtransactions or any kind of loot box of any kind, but the fact that these these quote-unquote loot boxes actually show you what is inside before you buy it really makes me happy, in the sense that it's taking out that aspect of gambling in the game. And every single 24 hours it has a complete reset on the main llama and just the kind of minor llama, which is just the regular x-ray one. I think they handle that very well. And then of course you also have the event store, and you also have your event tickets where you can play the game, earn gold, and play the game and earn tickets, and then use those to buy some of the most powerful items in the game, which is completely without using V-Bucks or having to purchase anything of any kind outside of in-game currency that you have to earn. Now tickets of course you can get from purchased llamas, but if you were to look at the gold aspect of the game, that comes through 100% gameplay, and a lot of the best items in the game will come from gold. So I think the way that they handle the store system in this game is absolutely fantastic. It took us a while to get there, but the way that they've handled it as of recent is really good, and I definitely consider it one of the best aspects of this game. Moving on to number 4 on the good list, we have the Perk Recombobulator. Now if it were not for the Perk Recombobulator, I would not be playing this game. For those of you guys that might not know, the Perk Recombobulator is basically what allows you to re-perk and perk up your weapons in this game. You could have an assault rifle, and then you could put a crit build on that assault rifle, or a damage build on that assault rifle, or a headshot build, or a full magazine, or reload, or whatever you want. You can build your weapons however you want and customize them however you want, and it adds a lot of depth to the game, especially whenever you accompany that with a lot of the resources that are needed to make this kind of stuff happen. You get re-perk to change your perks, you got perk up to up your perks, and then you got all sorts of different elemental perk ups as well, to where you can just fully customize your weapons and make them your weapons. The Perk Recombobulator adds such a huge layer to this game, and it's absolutely fantastic. Also accompanying that, the fact that you need to level up your weapons to unlock certain perks is absolutely fantastic, and I just love the way that they've handled weapons in general as far as it comes to upgrades and leveling in this game. It's definitely added an in-game layer. I mean, this game currently really doesn't have that much of an in-game, and the Perk Recombobulator just completely fleshing out your arsenal and the weapons that you have is definitely kind of filling that hole at the moment, while we wait on future content like the Twine Peak storyline to go ahead and come, and then they can focus on true in-game content. The Perk Recombobulator is definitely one of the biggest things in this game that I really enjoy, and I'm glad that they added it. Definitely a lot of fun in my opinion. Now moving on to number 5, and the last good thing on the list, we have the collection book. And I personally feel as though the collection book is a little bit overlooked by a lot of players, but whenever you go back and think about it, the collection book's really a huge part of the game, and in my opinion it's one of the cooler parts of the game. I love games that have an extensive codex that basically shows you everything possible in the game in terms of all the loot that you can get, and it's something that I always wanted back whenever I played Destiny for the past 3 years, back whenever I really enjoyed that game, is that you had to go outside of the game and go to the Grimoire cards and look at all this kind of stuff outside of the game on other websites if you wanted to see all the stuff in the game. Well, whenever you go to Save the World, you got the aspect of the collection book, which shows you every survivor, shows you every gun, shows you every hero, shows you every trap, and then you can also collect those things, put them in the collection book, level them up, and just completely flesh it out for a little bit of extra rewards. Now, I feel as though the collection book rewards are a little bit underwhelming, but that's kind of a little bit of a small gripe, because I feel as though your main amount of resources really shouldn't be coming from the collection book, but it is nice to get that little bit of a bonus just because you collected something that you had previously not gotten. With this game, you are constantly getting tons of loot, so whenever you get your first siege breaker, it's really cool, but whenever you get your second siege breaker, it's not so cool, but then you can put that second siege breaker in the collection book. But let's say you get a third siege breaker, what are you going to do with that one? Well, as well, you could put that in the collection book. They actually have this whole tab called crystal weapons, so you can level it up to Shadow Shard, or I believe Obsidian, and then put that one in the collection book, and then get further rewards based off of getting repeated loot, and then completely fleshing it out and seeing how much stuff you can really get in there. It's a perfect aspect of the game for perfectionists, and although I'm not really a perfectionist, I do really like to put stuff in the collection book whenever I do get a chance, because I like seeing the progress that I've been making in the game in terms of collecting loot. But I really do like the collection book, definitely overlooked in my opinion, one of the more positive aspects of the game. Now, seeing as that's the last thing on the good list that I want to talk about, let's go ahead and segue into the bad list and kind of talk about what really disappoints me and some things that I really hope get changed in the future for Save the World. Now, number one for the bad list, I have listed consistent bugs in updates, and I feel like this is a very, very huge problem. The fact that this game does get updated as often as it does really is a blessing in the sense that the developers can try to keep it as fresh as possible with new heroes, new weapons, new events, all sorts of stuff like that. However, because of this development cycle and because of so many updates getting added in so little time, we find a consistent amount of bugs in every single update, and I really hope that this gets down packed in the sense that they can prevent this in the future. Some of these can be absolute game-breaking bugs, and there's a video I made a while back talking about how the matchmaking of Save the World got completely broken for 5 whole days on console and like 2 days on PC, where people just couldn't play with their friends, and it was a terrible thing. I really hope that in the future that bugs can get prevented, whether they get a bigger QA team or they decide to put further investment into these updates to make sure that they're more refined before they release them. I'm not entirely sure, but the fact that we get so many consistent bugs every single update is a very bad thing about Save the World. I know that Battle Royale gets its fair share of bugs, but I feel like Save the World gets the worst of the two, and we definitely have a lot of game-breaking bugs that show up from month to month, and it's very unfortunate. Hopefully this does get changed in the future, but it's definitely one of my main gripes with the game. There's way too many bugs in every single one of these updates. So going on to number 2, I actually surprisingly listed the alert system. Now, I'm a very big fan of the alert system in the way that it is now, and I was going to put it in the good category, but it still needs a little bit of, I guess, work. The way that the alert system works right now is that you can run as many missions as humanly possible within a 24-hour period. Every single 24 hours, the alerts completely reset and turn into something different, and that's kind of where we get into a little bit of a gray area with the alert system. Previously, we had a little bit of a cooldown system where every single 6 hours, the alerts would completely reset and you would be able to have a whole new slew of missions. However, you were limited on the missions that you could run. So their solution to this was to actually take that 6-hour cooldown on the alerts and turn it into a 24-hour cooldown, or I'm saying cooldown, but I should be saying reset, and then allowing you to run as many missions as possible. However, there is a little bit of a problem with this where you're having a tiny little bit of a lack in mission variety depending on the power level mission, and you're also having a lack in mission rewards as well. Sometimes you won't consistently get those very good mission rewards that are going on at the moment. You know, maybe there won't be any 4 drops of rain or lightning in a bottle or a perk up mission that you might desperately need, and you need to wait a full 24 hours before that, you know, gets implemented into the game at that reset. So you can go an entire day of not even wanting to play the game because there's no loot going on. So I feel as though there needs to be some kind of algorithm that pretty much guarantees some sort of evolution mat grind and some sort of perk up grind at any given moment. And also, whenever you do get into the high-end twine, the reward scaling is completely broken in the sense that I could run the hardest mission in the game and get basically the same rewards as if I was running one of the easier missions in the game. And this of course only applies to Twine Peaks. So there is a lot of problems with the alert system. It did take a step in the right direction, but it definitely needs improvements, and it can be a little daunting to some of the newer players that desperately need some loot and they don't already have a pretty good stockpile of it. There needs some changes to the alert system. It's a very good step in the right direction, but it's not exactly quite there yet. Moving on to number 3 in the bad list, we have a lack of promotion, and this was brought up by ToriX, and it's an excellent point. I feel as though Save the World does not get promoted nearly as much as it should. If you guys were to go to the Epic Games launcher, this of course is the launcher that holds Fortnite itself, and you were to type Fortnite Save the World, you will get no results. If you type Save the World, you'll get no results. Fortnite STW, no results. You type Fortnite, and what pops up is Fortnite Battle Royale. Well, you click on Fortnite Battle Royale and there is one measly paragraph that is dedicated to Save the World. Then you decide to scroll down and you see a bunch of pictures of Fortnite and you see a bunch of pictures of Battle Royale, but there's even a picture featuring creative mode, which isn't even Battle Royale. So why is there no, significant mention of Save the World anywhere whenever it comes to promotion of the game? And there's not even a single screenshot of Save the World. So, you could pretty much go to the Epic Games launcher, look at Fortnite, and have no idea that Save the World even exists if you decide to not read that tiny little paragraph, and you're only gonna realize that it's a thing whenever you finally load up the game. The promotion for this game is absolutely lackluster, and I feel as though if Epic Games would promote Save Save the World more, they would find that a lot of people genuinely enjoyed the game and they would be growing their fan base actively. I feel as though Epic Games pretty much goes against Save the World and are trying to put it down as much as possible. They really do need to promote this game more because it is a game that has an audience, and that audience has very big potential to grow, but they seem to neglect it at almost every turn whenever it comes to promotion. I feel as though this definitely needs to be fixed in the future. Going on to the number 4 thing in the bad list is a lack of transparency. Now don't get me wrong, I feel as though the Epic Games staff, and especially Magist himself, who's the community manager, are very transparent at times, and they are very transparent with the community, telling them what's going on and letting us know what is happening via AMAs and roadmaps and all sorts of stuff like that. But there are those times where we'll go a complete, like a huge drought of time for like a month or just weeks where we really don't know what's going on. They're not being transparent, they're not letting us know on anything that's going on, and it just happens every so often. For the most part, Epic Games can be very transparent and let us know on certain things that are going on, but then there's also certain topics that they don't necessarily like talking about and shedding some light on, and it just leaves us in the dark on a lot of different things, and I feel that's a little bit unfortunate. I feel as though whenever you do have a really strong community like the Save the World community, I feel as though you need to be as transparent as possible because that brings everybody together, gets everybody on board, and we know exactly what's going on. There's been a lot of talk about future content, but we really don't know of any of that future content, what exactly it is. And a lot of stuff that we want added to the game that Epic Games is a little bit iffy on even considering, and that kind of segues into my next thing in this bad list, so let's go ahead and jump into that. The last thing I have here on the bad list is Epic Games versus community suggestions. I feel as though the Epic Games development team or the higher ups at Epic Games or whoever, considers what happens with this game, I feel as though they don't listen to the community as much as they should, and when they do listen to the community, they listen to them on very bad and kind of minor things in general. There was a time where Epic Games did listen to the community very recently, and they added uncommon and rare perk up to Twine Peaks because people didn't want to go down to Plankerton and Stonewood or Plankerton and Canny Valley to get these items. However, as soon as they implemented it into the game, the entire community backlashed and said that this was a terrible idea, even though they asked for it in the first place. What I'm really trying to get at here is more of the huge things that the community has been asking for a very long time, and it kind of ties in with the whole transparency thing. Where are emotes? Battle Royale emotes being added to Save the World. This is something that the community has wanted for a very long time, and it would exponentially improve the entire experience of Save the World if it were just added to the game. Emotes are something that are going to be around forever, and they're not going anywhere. This is something the community has wanted for a very long time. What about wraps? About, kind of customizing the way that our guns look? What about just a locker in general for Save the World? What about music packs? What about any of that? What about these huge things that the community has been suggesting for a very long time, and we just don't get any sort of, kind of light being shed on the subject from Epic Games. There's just no talk whatsoever. There's a lot of things in this game that definitely need to be added, and the community, I feel, are 100% right in wanting these things added to the game. I feel as though the Epic Games developers want what's best for the game, but I feel as though they don't know what's best for the game. In some ways, I feel as though the Epic Games developers need to listen more to the community and add more community suggestions to the game, because at the end of the day, you would have no game without your community, and I'm pretty sure for the most part, the community knows what the community wants. Of course, going back to that whole perk up thing, that was absolutely ridiculous, but there are a lot of things that the community wants, like lockers and emotes and wraps and, cosmetics in general, huge changes to the game that would, stick around for years upon years and stuff that nobody would forget about. It would be an exponential part of the game that the community's been wanting for a very long time, but Epic Games doesn't really seem to shed much of a light on that or really want to talk about it or, even really have much to do with it. So I feel as though Epic Games kind of goes against a lot of community suggestions in the sense that they don't really acknowledge it or shed much light on it or even talk about it in general. And I feel as though for the most part, the community really knows what they want and they kind of know what's best for the game, and the developers should definitely recognize this more in the future. But yeah, guys, I think that pretty much concludes my list. It's a pretty simple list. The good was the gameplay, weapon variety, the store system, Perk Recombobulator, and the collection book. The bad was the bugs, the alert system, the lack of promotion, lack of transparency, and the Epic Games versus community suggestions talk. I feel as though it's a pretty straightforward list, and I feel as though I have a pretty solid, list of ideas as far as the good and the bad, but I do want to hear yours in the comments down below, and I definitely want to hear your opinions on pretty much everything that I talked about in this video, and just let me know what you're thinking. Hopefully in the future, a lot of the bad things having to do with Save the World will get sorted out, and maybe a lot of these things that I listed won't be problems a few months from now, but I really do hope that this kind of stuff does get sorted out, because Save the World has some of the hugest potential out of any game that I've played, and if Epic Games can just kind of sort these bad things out, get less bugs in the game, improve more upon the alert system, and just in-game in general, I guess you could say, promote the game more, be more transparent, and be more adamant to implement community ideas, I feel as though Save the World would be in a lot better state than it is now. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching up into this point in the video. I definitely do appreciate the support. And yeah, guys, subscribe if you're new. I make new videos like this almost every single day. Definitely appreciate you guys watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.